Hi there, I'm Rafia Tadekun, and welcome to the next episode of Walk With Me. Now, for those who were on the series last week, you would have heard me allude to sharing something else with you today, which was how God stepped in into what looked like a seemingly uh, dead end situation for us. So, to put it in context, my husband and myself came from Nigeria to have a postgraduate training. And we had, whilst in the UK, had two children. At this point in time, I'm talking about, I had completed my obstetrics and gynecology training, but he was yet to complete his own specialty training. However, because of the situations we'd had, we'd almost exhausted the time that would have been allowed for extension of permit-free training stay or visa in the UK. Now, at this point, I had finished, so theoretically, there was no basis to have a further extension on my own name, and he didn't have any basis either. And I remember saying to God, I'm pretty sure you never brought us into this country for us not to complete what you purposed for us to start. And my husband hasn't finished. And I'm pretty sure that there'll be a way out, but I don't see it. So will you tell us what to do? And he said to me to go to the postgraduate dean of the region I was in and share with him our situation and ask if he'll be willing to support us by writing a letter to the Home Office for a further extension of our visa. And I went, on the basis of what? And he said, don't you worry about that. Go to him first. Now, the thought of going to the postgraduate dean did not fill me with lots of joy because I didn't know this man. The only contact I had with him were via letters or on the yearly reviews where they decided whether we were making enough progress as trainees to move on to the next level. So I wasn't very chuffed about doing that. In fact, I was anxious, but I realized that the anxiety was anxious about the thought of going to him, not so much about what I was going to say. So I just went anyway because I figured God said, if God says, I do. Simple. So I saw him on that day and I said to him, I said, this might sound strange to you, but I'm coming to you because God said I should. And he said I should explain to you my situation and see how you can help. And when I finished, he looked at me and he said, well, I've never done that before, but I don't think there's any law that says I can't. So, yes, I'm happy to support you. However, on the basis of what? And I said, well, he said, are you in any course? Are you doing any training right now that you need to complete? And guess what? I was doing an in-house ultrasound skills training so I could have ultrasound scanning skills for when I went back home because the plan was to go back home. So we thought and set up a clinic in a remote part of the country. So I wanted skills that would mean I could give a comprehensive care. So I mentioned that to him and he said, well, it's a training. It doesn't have to be an external one, so we'll use that. Guess what? We got an extension. We got a 6 months permit-free extension, 6 months permit-free visa extension. Now, 6 months wasn't going to be sufficient for my husband to finish his training, but we figured that was a start and we were grateful for it. But what we didn't know is what I'm going to share next. So when we told our solicitor, she came back to us and said, well, that's brilliant because you only needed 2 months for you to have made it that you'd both been, or one of you'd been in the country for 10 years. And there is a hidden 10-year rule that when you've been in the country for 10 years, you can legally apply for a permit right to remain indefinitely in the UK. However, this will need her having a precedential case that she could use that was almost similar to ours. And anyway, so we sort of left that again with God. And then one morning she called me very excited. She said, "You won't believe it. God woke me up in the middle of the night and reminded me of a particular case that we discussed in law school. And therefore, and I've spent the last couple of hours in my loft trying to find the records of that, and I have. And that's what we're going to use." So she used that, as well as the extra 2 months that we had on our extension of permit-free training. And she used that to put the application through. Now, I am told that generally such applications could take anything from 9 months to a year, bearing in mind that we would only have had 4 months after the 10-year rule kicked in. But guess what? Our God is faithful. We got ours through, I think it was within about 2 months, maybe 3 at the most, well within time before the permit-free training visa expired. You can imagine how thrilled myself and my husband were and how grateful we were to God. Now, what's the lesson here? Trust God. There is no situation that's in your life that if you trust Him with, He cannot resolve. All you need to do is ask Him and then do what He says. Now, if I had not asked Him and kept wallowing and praying for a miracle, God, but not actually asked, what can you do? What do you want me to do? I don't think we would have resolved that issue. We would have been one of those who had to go back home, or worse still, get separated. Just so. The second thing is, whatever He tells you to do it. No excuses, no changing the story. So I just told the post-quarantine what He asked me to. Thirdly, do not hide the fact that God sent you to do it. I could have given the post-quarantine a series of, the scenario, but not actually opened up with, "I am coming to you today because God said I should." And I believe, personally, that was pivotal in His response. I don't know whether it was a Christian. I haven't got a clue. But like I said, it didn't really make any difference to me. What was important to me was I had asked God. And I knew whatever He'd said for me to do, even though it might seem ridiculous, is the way to go. And the final thing is, even when you ask Him and what He's saying to you is ridiculous, that's the more reason to do it. Because He will do things in a way that no one but Him can take the glory. So, I hope this helps somebody out there. I hope this gives you hope. I hope this encourages you. And if it does, my job's done here today. So thank you so much for hopping along today. If you enjoyed this episode, then please click the subscribe button down below on my YouTube channel. I'll put the details at the end of this post. And if you know anybody who may find this video or any previous videos useful, please share it with them. And I'm so grateful to you for doing that. So God bless you all, and have a blessed week, and see you same time next week. Bye for now.